time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Let's get it going on this Thursday edition of the program. Lot to do over the next 60 minutes. Robert Littal, Black Sports Online founder, will join us. His usual weekly hit. We didn't do it last week. But we'll have him on for a couple of segments this week. Talk about the top stories in sports. He lives in LA. I'm curious to see what he thinks about the Olympics in LA in 4 years. Like, are they going to be ready? I don't even know if 4 years is enough time. They might need 40 years to get LA ready. We'll talk about that with him. A couple of other items to get to as well. Aaron Judge, home run number 300, faster than anybody has ever done it before. We will talk about that as well. We got our top 5 wide receivers to dish out today. We've done quarterback top 5, running back top 5. Today it is wide receiver top 5. And we start things out in the NFL. Sam Yarnell is here. He is each and every day. Easy for me to say. All right, Sam. Couple of big stories coming out of the NFL. One, obviously, the injury to J.J. McCarthy. And, man, you got to feel for this kid. I mean, great opportunity in Minnesota with the Vikings. He looked good in his preseason debut. And then you find out it's a knee injury. Then you say meniscus. All right, maybe you missed 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever. But to miss an entire season with basically a torn meniscus is very rare in any sport. Kind of strange. It's a weird injury, I guess, that we're still kind of learning about. And that means Sam Darnold is your starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. As the announcer always comes over the loudspeaker and says before we start bowling, good luck and good bowling.
Yeah, I saw a funny tweet about Sam Darnold. It was someone quoted that evergreen tweet that people use. It's like, accidentally became super important at work and it's ruining my life. And someone was like, this is Sam Darnold basically every year, because whatever team Sam Darnold goes to, the starting quarterback gets injured. He gets thrust into a starting role of a team that had somewhat decent, at very least, expectations before the season and just drops the ball. But it's fine because it's Sam Darnold and he gets off on on always having that excuse that the starting quarterback was never there. An interesting thing about this Minnesota team, Jason, and I know there was a fake report, very fake. I hope no one fell for it. I definitely did not fall for it for a whole hour before doing more research, that the Minnesota Vikings had reached out to the Saints about Derek Carr. They do need to go out and get a quarterback, because when we talk about the weapons that this Minnesota team has, and really quick on J.J. McCarthy, you're right, very sad guy, skyrocketed up draft boards. We're talking about him before the college football playoff as like a late second or early third round quarterback, and through the national championship, he becomes a first round pick. To the Vikings side of things, they got to go out and get somebody. Sam Darnold cannot be your answer when you've got a top 5 at worst wide receiver room in the NFL, and I'd probably say top 3, and a top 10 tight end in the NFL as well in TJ Hawkinson. Not to mention Aaron Jones.
But hold on. Who are you getting?
Yeah, but
you're going to try and get Nick Foles off? You're going to try and get Nick Foles off the couch? I mean,
Mac Jones?
You going to trade for Mac Jones?
I mean, the Jaguars just did. They gave up a 6th rounder. You give up a 5th rounder. I mean, it's not that bad of a trade.
Yeah, but then you don't have a backup if you're Jacksonville. So that doesn't make sense. This is exactly but this is stop it. This is exactly why. This is exactly why having a viable why teams do not invest enough, whether it's scouting, whether it's research, whatever it may be, into the backup quarterback position. I give this speech every year on the NFL that teams do not do their due diligence when it comes to getting a backup option at the quarterback position. And this is why you got to have one, because bleep like this happens, and now you're stuck with Sam Darnold. And look, I think they're going to give him a shot. I think you have to give him a shot to try and sort of figure this thing out with those weapons. Again, hoping those weapons can enhance him, hoping those weapons can make him a little better. We talked about this yesterday late in the show. Quarterbacks who have weapons that can enhance them versus quarterbacks that enhance the weapons they have around them. Darnold is obviously a guy that's going to need some help.
Well, but when we talk about backup quarterbacks and have that conversation, Sam Darnold is not a horrible backup quarterback.
No, he's not.
Sam Darnold is like an average backup quarterback, right? He's probably, about the 45 to 50th best quarterback in the league, which is a mid-tier backup. Nick Mullins, I would put him in that same kind of thing. We saw the success that Nick Mullins could have in a proficient offense in a few games in San Francisco. Who's to say he couldn't do that in Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell calling plays, who is on about the same tier as Kyle Shanahan when we talk about offensive minds. I just think, Jason, the clock is ticking on the weapons in Minnesota.
Yeah.
The window is closing rapidly. They got to go out and get someone besides a backup. Now you got to go get a starter. And I don't know how they do that.
The other big story of the day, Matthew Judon being traded away from the Patriots. Obviously a holdout. He didn't want to be there. They figure out a way to get it done. They trade him to the Falcons. And Sam, I love what the Falcons are doing right now. They're going for it. They obviously went and got Kirk Cousins in the offseason. They're tired of being that sort of middle-of-the-road team. That division, obviously, a lot of opportunities to come out of there if you go and make some moves in the offseason like they did. Love what the Falcons have done here. Obviously improving that defense with Judon.
Jason, the interesting thing to me about this in the NFC South is such an interesting case. It truly is an enigma, and it speaks to the sports book yesterday. I was just happened to be looking before the trade went down. The Falcons were minus 135 favorites. Then they trade for Matthew Judon, a widely respected defensive end who the last time he had a fully healthy season had 15 and a half sacks, folks. And they moved to minus 130 favorites.
How do you explain that?
I have no idea. There must have been some large wager that came in on another team just coincidentally with the trade of Judon, and it made it more of a liability for the Falcons to be at minus 135. They had to move the number back 5 cents. Crazy thing to me there. But I'm with you. I love what the Falcons are doing. I am excited to see Kirk Cousins in the black and red down in Atlanta, especially with the weapons around him. I talked on this show about Bijan being a top 3 back in the league. He proved it over the course of the second half of last season. Drake London and Kyle Pitts have never had a competent quarterback. Let's see what they can do the very first time.
I'm rooting for Kyle Pitts, man. I just feel like that guy is not close to scratching the surface on his potential. By the way, 9.5 the win total on the Falcons. Juice to the over on that. I think it's like plus 112 on the under. All right, we're going to continue with some baseball talk. Aaron Judge, his 300th home run. We'll get to it next.
I'd like to say this is the first time, but there have been others.
How many?
Who can keep track?
You think this is a joke?
Darling, we need answers, and you're going to give them to us.
Tell us again.
My car broke down. I brought it here.
I got stuck paying an expensive repair bill.
So it's true.
How much, darling?
$2,300. But
$2,300.
Well, what was I supposed to do? My transmission was shot.
You pick up your phone and you call CarShield before the car breaks down.
Plans through CarShield cover up to 5,000 parts and systems in your car.
That's right. A plan through CarShield could save you on some criminally high auto repairs, especially if your car is out of warranty. So, call CarShield, America's #1 auto protection company, before a breakdown and save yourself from getting stuck in car repair jail.
Let me guess. You hate saving money.
Who hates saving money?
Apparently you do.
All you had to do was call CarShield. And you could have protected yourself against expensive repairs.
Yeah, and then my price will go up the minute I file a claim.
Shut up! CarShield has the price locked in.
For as long as you cover your car.
I guess I should have called CarShield?
It's about time you said something that made sense.
Now you know what you need to do next time.
Bet he'll call CarShield now.
So can I go? Or
CarShield has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau and was voted America's most trusted auto protection company. Don't get handcuffed paying expensive auto repairs. Call now and get the CarShield guarantee. Your price will never go up and your coverage will never go down as long as you cover your car. In just minutes, you could have a plan that covers up to 5,000 parts and systems in your car. Don't wait until it's too late. Get CarShield's best coverage yet. Call 800-689-5350.
A nursing home. If your loved one has suffered from bed sores, falls, broken bones, dehydration, or even death, you may be entitled to a substantial settlement. If you have a loved one who is injured in a nursing home, we will find out what happened. State violations are found against nursing homes every day. You have a limited time to file your claim, so don't wait. Call 800-398-5999 and speak with one of our attorneys. The call is confidential and free.
Coming up in 10 minutes, our top 5 wide receiver rankings for the NFL. We've done quarterbacks and running backs thus far this week. But first, a little baseball. History made in Chicago on Wednesday night with Aaron Judge hitting his 300th career home run, the fastest ever to do it. Under 1,000 games, 130-something games less than the person who held the previous mark, I believe was Ralph Kiner, if I'm not mistaken. Sam Yarnell, thoughts on Judge, the fastest ever to 300?
Yeah, it's a very accomplishing feat, obviously. Aaron Judge showing you the raw power is immense, and it always has been. It profiled as that. That's why the Athletics drafted him out of high school. It profiled as that through college, and took a little bit of a dip there for the first couple of years of the minor leagues. But Jason, it brought an interesting thought to mind, and obviously, as much Yankees talk as you and I do, I've somehow enthralled myself in part of Yankees Twitter, or maybe that's just because I want to drive myself up a wall. But I say all that to say, interesting conversation started by Yankees fans last night, and I wanted to get your thoughts because I generally think of you as somebody more objective. Aaron Judge, his 300th home run last night. He is 32 years old. Next season, he will be 33 by the beginning of the year, or in the first month of the year, I should say. Is Aaron Judge a Hall of Famer?
Already? You're saying if his career ended today?
No. But does Aaron Judge make the Hall of Fame? You can't expect him to play more than 5 more years total?
He's going
probably.
to the Hall. I'll tell you why he's going to the Hall. He's going to get to 500 home runs anyway. He's going to get to 500.
You think he's going to have a 40 home run a year pace for the rest of his career?
He doesn't have to. Well, first of all, he won't have to because he'll probably, look, it takes a lot of things. It takes assuming a lot of things. Where's his career batting average going to be? What's his career batting average right now? Do you have it in front of you?
I do. It's 288.
He's a 288 career hitter in an era where guys don't hit 288 for their career anymore. The prolific home runs. He's going to have the most ever in American League history, non-steroid based. He's got an MVP. I find it hard to believe he wouldn't be. It's kind of interesting that somebody even asks the question because you almost think
nobody asked the question.
Oh, okay.
Everyone was just making the blanket statement.
That
oh my gosh, Aaron Judge is a Hall of Famer.
Okay.
And I was immediately like, wait a second. He's won 1 MVP. He's never won a World Series. He's come in top 5 in MVP voting 3 times in his career. He's 32 years old already. What are we doing here, folks? This is a guy with a prolific, extensive injury history, and we're just trusting him to now play till he's 40 years old the way Ironman Albert Pujols and the likes of Chipper Jones and people like that did? I just can't get all the way there. Aaron Judge, a great baseball player, Hall of Very Good for sure, but he's going to hit 500 home runs?
So wait a second. Hold on. So if I said, let's set the line. No line should be. Aaron Judge makes the Hall of Fame. Where would you set the line?
Plus 250? The no minus 325?
Yeah, I think you're wrong. I think you're a little off.
It may be a little shorter than that. It may be like a plus 200, like a minus 275.
And I would tell you that if I had to go, so if you were placing a bet in Vegas, you would bet against him making the Hall of Fame as of right now.
I don't know if I'm laying minus 275.
If you had to. If you had to.
Gun to my head, yes.
Let's just say it was you and me.
With your money, 100%.
Let's just say it's you and me straight up. Forget odds. You're saying no. You're taking the no.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. I am taking the no. Sorry. I am taking the no on Aaron Judge making the whole thing.
I would take the yes on it. Because I think he gets to... How many years does he have left on his deal?
Now you're asking the hard questions. I know. But I mean, he signed through 2031, so do the math. 6 years after this.
So look, let's assume he plays through the end of his contract. He's going to get to 500 home runs. He's going to be close to a career 300 hitter. We've established that by now. I mean, he's at 288. He's at 288 now. I mean, you don't think another couple of 330 seasons are in him? I mean, that gets you close.
No, that's not it. That's not it. That's not the part that I doubt, because he's shown time after time that he can put the ball in play and hit line drives, which is what drives up that batting average. We know that. I don't buy that for the next 6 years, he hits at a consistent 34 home run a year pace, which is what he has to do.
I think he's going to hit 30. My God, look at how many home runs he hit in like 80 games last year, Sam.
So he's gone over that.
How many did he hit last year?
34 home runs.
How many did he hit last year?
37.
In how many games? It was
106.
I mean, he's going to get there.
He has not gotten there.
If I believe that Giancarlo Stanton,
seasons of his career as he has gotten there.
If I'm to believe that Giancarlo Stanton's going to get to 500, which he is, then I have to believe Aaron Judge will get to 500.
That's true. You have put yourself in a sticky wicket, sir, and you do have to abide to both of those.
I don't think it's sticky. I just think they both get there.
I think the Stanton one. Well, how many Stanton's at what? 427.
Yeah, he's at 4 change, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Stanton's
getting there.
I think, you know what? You're betting at the Yarnell Page Sportsbook. I'm taking the no on both of those. I'm taking the no on Stanton reaching the 500 and the no on
crazy.
Judge making the Hall of Fame.
I'll parlay them both, and I'll meet you at the window. I love it. I love both of those. Those guys are both getting to 500 home runs. Stanton could get there just by hanging around long enough. He's gonna get there.
That's the thing. But again, Jason, like, we're talking about two of the 25 most injured baseball players over the last 5 years. I can't get all the way there. Judge has been
perfectly healthy this year. There's been no issues, knock on wood.
That's true. That's very true. And hey, the Yankees are reaping the benefits of it, man. Hey, we'll see exactly how they do in the ALDS against the Orioles.
And that's the big question mark. Does Judge get a World Series? Is he one of these Yankee captains that gets a World Series? That'll be very interesting to see as well. All right, we got to get to top 5 wide receivers. Look at Sam. He is chomping at the bit. Don't go anywhere. We got a lot more to do. All right, segment 3 on this edition of Sports Wrap. So we've talked about running backs. We've talked about quarterbacks, ranking our top 5. Now Sam Yarnell and I will give you our top 5 wide receivers. And I think there will be some consensus here, Sam Yarnell. I anticipate a relative degree of agreement. I think we're agreeable when it comes to our wide receivers. Let's see if I am correct. So Sam and I will run down our 5. I will run mine, and then he will run his. I'll give you my number 5, and then he'll give his, and we'll go back and forth till we get to number 1 on this list. It's kind of interesting too, Sam, in thinking about this. Every day that we've done this so far in doing this for this show, we had quarterback, full consensus, Patrick Mahomes. Running back, we all agree, Christian McCaffrey. It feels like every position in the league that we go through, the number one's probably always going to be the same. We're going to agree. We're going to agree on it, which is kind of interesting that we're able to.
I think this will be the different one.
Really? You've piqued my curiosity. All right, let me give you my number 5 when it comes to wide receivers. I will go CeeDee Lamb at number 5. Oh, look at him. He is, wow, that is a guffaw. I will go CeeDee Lamb at number 5. Had a great year last year. I think there will be some regression. 135 catches a season ago. Almost 1,750 yards, 12 touchdowns. You got all this contract mishigas that's going on right now. Look, I think he's a top 5 receiver. I'll give the same, I'll give the same disclaimer on this that I gave yesterday. None of these guys suck. They're all really good. They're all great in a lot of cases. I just think you're talking about the margins here. And I think if I'm ranking these receivers, which is what I've been enlisted to do, I'm going with CeeDee Lamb at number 5 on my list. I think he's great. I just think he's number 5. Go ahead.
Yeah, all right. There's going to be a lot more parity than I expected because I really thought CeeDee Lamb being my number 5 was going to be the hot take and everyone was going to have him a lot higher. So that's out the window. But yeah, I'm with you, Jason. CeeDee Lamb, he's number 5 for me. But here's why I reached a little bit of a different conclusion. It's strictly because of the holdout. And we're talking about CeeDee Lamb. I mean, over 1,700 receiving yards last season. The guy has proven that he can do it, and he can do it in a tough environment, both media-wise and fan-wise. That is Dallas, especially when they're not making the playoffs very often. So he's proven it all to us. The thing is, this season he's holding out. And what happens when receivers hold out historically? We see these injuries tend to linger a little bit longer in the regular season, and missing a little bit of that training camp, their bodies aren't fully conditioned. So CeeDee Lamb not being in training camp, obviously with the holdout and the whole contract situation with the Cowboys, is the only reason to me he's not higher on this list. But yeah, CeeDee is my number 5 as well, Jason.
Number 4, I'm going Davante Adams. Look at the face. See, I'm actually looking to my left just so I can see Sam's face on my screen here. Davante Adams is my number 4. Led the league last year, obviously, with 14 touchdowns. Or led the league, I should say, in touchdowns, 14 in 2022. Still went over 1,100 yards. He is, look, if everything goes right, he's probably a top 2 or top 3 guy on this list. Obviously, the quarterback position is going to weigh him down a little bit there in Las Vegas with the Raiders. Here in Las Vegas with the Raiders, where I am. But I think Davante Adams goes in at number 4.
My number 4 is Tyreek Hill. I'll explain a little bit more why Tyreek Hill slots in at number 4 after the explanation of my number 3, because the consistency will kind of remain the same there. But the fact of the matter is Tyreek Hill is an incredible wide receiver, right? We were having conversations last season on this very show about, is Tyreek Hill going to break the single season receiving record in the NFL? But we have to put him at number 3 or number, where am I? Where do I have him?
Which one? Sorry.
Tyreek Hill. I have him at number 4. I have blank, who I cannot spoil, at number 3. Right. Similar system. Okay. Right. Sorry. Mind fart there.
Whoa.
The thing about Tyreek Hill is that he is, like I said, insane receiver, incredible talent, one of one in the talent category. The thing is just this: when we talk about all of his success, a large part of that, a large contingent of that, is Jalen Waddle being across from him.
Okay. Fair enough. Let me go to number 3 since we're running out of time here. We got to run through these fast. Jamar Chase is my number 3. See, there we are. Are we on the same page?
We are.
Okay. So see, Jamar Chase, number 3, obviously had a nice year last year, despite the fact that they were missing Joe Burrow. I think the return of Burrow obviously is going to elevate his game. It goes without saying. I will go Jamar Chase at number 3.
I'm with you, Jason, and the same thing, the reason he's not higher on my list is because he's got T. Higgins across from him, who does admittedly help him out a little bit, and the reason he's higher than Tyreek Hill is because T. Higgins doesn't help him as much as Jalen Waddle helps Tyreek Hill.
All right, so that's our number 3s. We agree on that. Obviously, we don't agree on number 2 because Sam already said Tyreek Hill was number 4. I have Tyreek Hill at number 2. Look, I mean, I don't know how much needs to be said here. 1,800 receiving yards last year, 13 touchdowns, 119 catches. We know what he's going to do this year. Similar numbers. He will probably have the second best numbers in the league when all is said and done. And this is a big year, obviously, for the Dolphins, you know, in the sort of growth of the Hill, Waddle, Tua Tagovailoa, you know, trio. I expect big things out of Tyreek Hill. Easy for me to make him my number 2.
All right, there might be parity with our number 1. My number 2 is Amon-Ra St. Brown up in Detroit. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 1,515 receiving yards last season, and he did not play every single game for the Detroit Lions. He also had 10 touchdowns. The kid is single-handedly reviving that Detroit offense, and Sam Laporta, also to mention, has completely stepped up in the absence of TJ Hawkinson.
All right. And easy for us at number 1. We're obviously both going with Justin Jefferson as our number 1 receiver. Now, his numbers could take a hit when you consider his quarterback play this season. So don't go crazy if his numbers don't necessarily match up with a Tyreek Hill or some of the other guys we mentioned, even CeeDee Lamb, because he's got Sam Darnold throwing to him. Doesn't change the fact he's the best receiver in the game, Sam.
As they didn't match up to his skill level last year, you're right. He can beat anybody in the league one-on-one.
All right, stick around. Robert Littal is going to hang out with us for a couple of segments. Sam will return for odds and ends. Don't go anywhere. Sports Wrap continues on this Thursday. Sam Yarnell will return in odds and ends. Talk some WNBA then. This guy's a bit of a WNBA fan too, though.
WNBA's back.
What'd you say?
The WNBA is back. That means more arguments.
I'm curious, though, you know, and I mean, we're going to talk about this in odds and ends with Sam, but I am curious to see if it's able to recapture the momentum it had, because that was always the big concern, was the break here. You know the diehards are going to come back, but are those casual sports fans? Because now we're in dependent race baseball, the NFL starting to kick into gear. I'm interested to see if there's a dip in those prolific ratings figures that we've seen for the WNBA.
Yeah, I believe so. I think it's going to be better than what it was, but they're not going to be, not with college. You know, I just don't say. I think people are just, like you said, the new fans are going to stay. The ones that like to argue and all of that stuff, I think they want to argue about the Cowboys now and Ohio State and Michigan and Alabama and the Yankees and all of this stuff now.
College football will be here before you know it. It's crazy. I want to talk to you about Colin Kaepernick, because I was intrigued, to say the least, when I saw the news that Jim Harbaugh had reached out to Colin Kaepernick, not to play quarterback, but to help coach quarterbacks. I mean, Kaepernick still has this dream of potentially even playing still, which is kind of wild unto itself. He still works out. He still keeps himself in shape. He was in Europe, so he didn't really give an answer to Jim Harbaugh on the idea of coming aboard and coaching. But just to think of how all these things have come sort of full circle with Harbaugh as a head coach, coaching obviously Kaepernick, being basically exiled from the league, Harbaugh going and doing his thing at Michigan, winning a national championship. Now Harbaugh's back, and he wants to kind of get, Colin Kaepernick back into the NFL this way. If you were Colin Kaepernick or advising Colin Kaepernick, he's his own man. He doesn't need anybody advising him, but how would you look at it?
Take the job. Even if you don't want the job, take the job, and I'll tell you why. If you want to be involved in the NFL in some shape, form, or fashion, and even if there's a 1% chance that possibly you can get back in the league, the only way you're going to do it is from the inside. It has to be an inside job. So if you're with the Chargers and they're traveling around and you're going to different teams, you're talking to different coaches, maybe you're seeing the owner, now you're inside of the machine. And maybe if you're inside the machine while you're coaching, you could also be working out. You can run the scout team. There's some tape for you. There's I always felt like Colin Kaepernick, I always agreed with his message. I always felt it was wrong what happened to him. But I did disagree with some of the moves kind of that he made, afterwards to try to get back into the league. He was still trying to fight the NFL instead of trying to work with them. And I can understand his angst about that. But to get back in the machine, sometimes you have to go on the inside to infiltrate it to get back in, because it's very difficult to fight for that from the outside.
What do you think of Jim Harbaugh? What's the feeling? As somebody who's in LA, what's the feeling around Jim Harbaugh and sort of the way he has managed and sort of massaged this Chargers job since taking over?
Well, I think everybody agrees that Jim Harbaugh is a good coach. He's been a good coach pretty much every stop that he's been at. And honestly, the Chargers really haven't had any stability at coach for a very long time. So they're hoping that Jim Harbaugh kind of get these LA fans that don't really accept the Chargers, give them something to hold on to. But this is the NFL, and wins do matter. So I think, even though he's making a lot of money, he has to show in a relatively quick period of time that, he's better or different than the other Charger coaches that hadn't lasted very long. I do think there's a little bit of a stain because of the Michigan type of thing. There's a little bit of a raised, eyebrow because of the stuff that was going on there. But we saw with Pete Carroll, as long as you come in and win, the NFL and NFL fans be like, hey, that's college. They don't got nothing to do with us.
Do you think his motivations are sincere here when it comes to Kaepernick?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So, look, I always tell people when you're looking at a situation, right, don't look at the names, right? Don't look at the faces. Don't look at the names of the teams. Just look at the actual situation and ask yourself. Ask yourself if a man that was almost close to being fired all of a sudden goes 3 years and only loses 3 games, wins a national championship, but he's been suspended by the NCAA. His guy's been caught doing God knows what with the stealing. The NCAA is telling them that, look, we're coming back. We're coming back like Jason Voorhees. And then that guy decides, you know something? I'm going to leave my alma mater after I won a national championship.
He's a god. He's a god. He's in god mode. Yeah.
I'm going to leave to go to coach the LA Chargers. Just, because. Let's be honest. He left before they just brought the hammer down. He pulled a Pete Carroll, and I'm not mad at him about it. I'd have did the same thing.
Yeah. Well, he didn't have much of a choice because they were going to bring the hammer down. And obviously, they did with the 4-year sort of show cause.
Yeah.
And
which I think is funny.
Yeah. I just wonder how much this job sort of winds up impacting his legacy ultimately. If he goes in and it doesn't go well, it fails. I'll be interested to see how it impacts his legacy a bit.
Just quickly, it's 4-year show calls. That's about as much time I think he would get with the Chargers to show he's there for the long haul or not. If they, tank, he'll be back in college in 4 years at a high university like nothing happened. Guaranteed.
It's true. I got more I want to do with Robert Littal. He's the founder of Black Sports Online. Hangs out with us usually every week on the show. Yes, last week was a bit of a mess because we were just moving into the new studios here in Las Vegas. I want to get his thoughts on the Olympics coming to Los Angeles with Tom Cruise apparently going up to the Hollywood sign. We'll talk about LA and the Olympics with Robert Littal next. All right, segment 5 on this Thursday. Typically something to consider. But we'll consider the Olympics in Los Angeles with our friend Robert Littal of Black Sports Online, their founder, hanging out with us, talking about some of the top stories of the week. I was interested to see how the Paris-LA handoff would involve Tom Cruise because we knew he was going to be in the closing ceremonies. We just didn't know how, and that was about the most Tom Cruise-y thing that we probably could have gotten at the Olympics closing ceremonies. First of all, what did you think of the games in Paris? I got to be honest, I thought they were one of the best we've ever seen.
I enjoyed them, and I think the reason that I enjoyed them is, for me working from home, most of the live events, happen around noontime in LA.
Yeah.
And, they had that gold zone. They had the quad box. I believe Peacock had any individual game you wanted to watch or sport, you could watch on the stream. So if I just woke up the morning and say, hey, I want to watch all, table tennis today, I could. So for me, I thought it was interesting just from a viewer standpoint. I found it more enjoyable than some of the previous ones. And just, it's 2024 with social media and things like that. We can kind of, we're watching as a family and watching together, and everybody's, got an opinion on everything. And so, and it's during the work day. So everybody's, talking about it, not at 2 a.m. or whatever it may be. So I enjoyed them. I heard there were some issues, in Paris for the people that were there. But for me sitting on my butt at home, I had a great time.
You're in LA, Robert. You know LA, you know Los Angeles, you know what that city is like. The first question I keep asking myself, and it sounds crazy because they have 4 years. Are they going to be able to get that city ready in 4 years? I know it sounds like it's a long time.
No, absolutely not. They can barely get highways. I've been here for 7 years, okay? There's a Highway 10, that's not too far away from me.
I know the 10.
They're working on the same stretch of Highway 10 before I got here, and it's still not done. It's like a 3-mile stretch. It's not even that far. So traffic is always the first thing that I think is that if you ever seen, I don't know if you ever watched Seinfeld, but there's a Seinfeld episode where they're hosting like an Olympic medalist for a marathon, and he missed out on the gold medal because he was late to the race. And so they want to make sure that he's not raced for the New York Marathon.
Exactly,
and it's a funny thing in Jerry and the alarm clock, and he ends up, being late again. That's my worry, is that I don't know where they're going to have all of these people, but just make sure you give how they say go to the airport 2 hours in advance? If you got an event in LA, I would get there 5 hours in advance, to be perfectly honest with you.
I don't mean to get like semi-political here. Not that I mind it, but I try not to get too political. Just in terms of where are they going to put all the homeless people? Where are they going to put all these people? Where are they going to relocate them to? Are they opening up sanitariums? Like, what are they going to do? I mean, Skid Row. What are you going to do with the world converging on the city of Los Angeles and the surrounding areas? Where are they going to put all these people?
And also you have to be careful because, you Skid Row is like, a lot of people don't know, it's like right next to Hollywood. Yeah. It's right there. Like they're a couple of blocks. So somebody can get a hotel, saying I'll get in a hotel in Hollywood, and they'll be, they won't be happily surprised exactly where they're at. Like you said, they have 4 years, and literally they've had like 8. They've known for that long. That they're going to have these games. So, you hope logistically. I've been telling people, either if you're visiting, try to give them some maybe out-of-the-way places to stay. If you live here, like I live a little outside the city, so I'm okay. But if you live anywhere in, I would say, Pasadena down, you may want to take a trip. If you always want to go on a European vacation, because look, this probably be the best time to get the best prices on the European vacation, because everybody will be in America. So if you want to go to Paris or London or Santorini, that'd be a good time to take your 2-week vacation with your loved one or whoever you do, your dog or whatever, and just get out the city, Airbnb your place. You'll probably make $10,000-$15,000 and just go about your business.
It's going to be a hell of a road trip for the Dodgers and Angels, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard they're going to try to still do games in between what's going on, since baseball is not an Olympic sport anymore. So
they're saying it could be an Olympic sport in 28, but the question
we know breakdancing won't be.
Good Lord. I gotta ask you, I'm so glad you brought up breakdancing, because I mean, you think of the origins of breakdancing, and it's something you would have a better grasp or understanding of probably than I would, I can't dance. I can either move the top half of my body or I can move the bottom half. I can't do I know. I can either move the top half of my body or the bottom half. I can't move them at the same time, so I can't dance. What did you think of the breakdancing?
I remember when I turned it on, I was like, "This cannot be real. This is a parody of what's happening." I mean, I'm a 80s, 90s teenager, baby. So I mean, this is like, the essence of the hip hop world and breakdancing and things like that. And I've been to New York before and I've been to Malibu or Venice Beach, and I've seen, people that should have gold medals there. So I was like, where are we getting these people? And honestly, I'm just gonna be honest with you, I didn't see one person of color. And this is something that, we originated. And that was a little, disturbing, to me, especially, from the American side. I'm like, I mean, where are we at? But then I come to find out that it costs a lot, I guess, to be in the breakdancing, quote unquote, community. And honestly, a lot of breakdancers do not have a lot of money.
Wow. Costs a lot to be in breakdancing?
I found out you have to go to these trips, you have to sign up for these clubs. It was like golfing or tennis or something. It was. If you want to go down the rabbit hole, your viewers and listeners, go find out how much it costs just to be involved in the Olympic breakdance, and it'll surprise you.
Robert Littal, Black Sports Online founder. I always appreciate it, my friend. We'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Break. That's how the Australian lady was.
All right, good to have you with us on this Thursday edition of the show. Just about time to put the wraps on this one. Don't forget, check out the podcast version of Sports Wrap. It's all the rage. It's this, only in a podcast. What more could you want? There whenever you need it. Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast, available on all your favorite podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and more. All right, without any further delay, Sam Yarnell, time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, the W is back, baby. We're back. WNBA makes its return tonight. Caitlin Clark is not playing, even though she is featured in the B-roll. But the WNBA is back. I am curious to see how quickly it can regain its momentum, Sam, because this was a long break. And say what you want about, the Olympics, women's basketball, all that's great. It's not the WNBA. It's different. You had a lot of the players that didn't make the team, that were sitting out all this time. It's a tough ask, and I think it's the first real test of the strength of women's basketball, with it coming back and seeing if it can sort of reignite that passion amongst its fan base and new fans alike.
Yeah, I hear the question, but Jason, there are a couple of things that are massively working in the WNBA's favor, and let me tell you what they are. First of all, recency bias, right? Let's think about that gold medal game of the Olympics. It was an incredibly close game, and you saw WNBA stars performing on both sides. That will draw people because they saw the intensity of the sport. Second of all, let's go back to the last time we saw these WNBA players before Team USA left for Paris, right? It was the WNBA All-Star game when Arike Ogunbowale went absolutely ballistic. People have been waiting for weeks to see her back in action, along with the rest of all those stars on the team that took down Team USA. Let's not forget that. Team WNBA took down Team USA, the eventual gold medal winners in that WNBA All-Star game. The third thing, Jason, and this plays into our upcoming conversation about WNBA betting and where we can find an edge, but FanDuel's really helping the WNBA bring people in. Angel Reese, 7-1 to win WNBA Rookie of the Year. Caitlin Clark down to minus 2,000. Those numbers have moved since the All-Star break started.
Asia Wilson, by the way, minus 3,000 to be your MVP.
Yeah, that one's over.
Your championship odds right now, Las Vegas at plus 155, along with the Liberty. So they're basically predicting an Aces Liberty rematch in the WNBA finals. The Lynx at plus 800. The Connecticut Sun always get short shrift. They are plus 900. Seattle at 1,200, and the Phoenix Mercury at 3,500. How about this bet, by the way? Liberty or Aces against the field to win the WNBA championship. I kind of like this bet.
What's the number?
Minus 290 on the Liberty or Aces, or the field at 225. I got to be honest, I know it's a lot, but do you really see anybody else overcoming both of those teams? You know the answer in your heart of hearts.
No, but I'm not going to lay away. Here's the problem with it. And this is the sports books know what they're doing, Jason Page. The reason they lay out a minus 290 is because everyone thinks exactly what I'm thinking right now. Yeah, I'd lay the number, sure. But do I want to lock up 2.9 units to get a unit back when is that championship game? November or October?
But if it's guaranteed, it's a lock. If you think it's a lock,
I'd rather put those 2.9 units on this afternoon's Nationals-Phillies game. Give me some action on Cabert Ruiz hits, runs, RBIs.
By the way, your Nats kept the coaching staff together. Kudos to them. I don't know if you saw that news, but
we're on mass, and I'm going to hold my thoughts to myself.
One last thing before we go. Kudos to NASCAR. They got it right. Tino Patino will be on the show tomorrow, and we'll do more on this with our NASCAR insider, our NASCAR betting insider, Tino Patino, who joined us on Monday to recap Austin Dillon's thrilling, if not controversial, win in Richmond. NASCAR says, hey, you can have the win, you can have the money, but you can't have the points, and you can't have he got the points, then they docked him the points, and you don't get to the playoffs because you won dirty, Austin Dillon. NASCAR did it right. Austin Dillon will not be a part of the playoffs unless he wins another race and does it without running through the back of the racer or the driver that's right ahead of him. Kudos to NASCAR. They took their time on it. They got it right. And they set the precedent for other drivers that you can't just simply, play bumper cars on your way to trying to win a race.
Yeah. Shout out to Tino, though. Listen, I said my thoughts earlier in the week. Like, you're gonna penalize the guy for wrecking Joey Logano? Really? Joey Logano with his history?
You can't let these guys. You can't let these guys. You can't let them just do whatever they want.
Ridiculous. Shameless plug for Tino here. Go check out his social media. The kid designed a whole NASCAR team on EA Sports College Football 25. If you play it, you got to check it out.
We got to go. Thanks to Robert Littal. Thanks to you, Sam Yarnell. Tino tomorrow to talk NASCAR. We got a whole bunch more planned for you. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you then. I'm Jason Page. Have a great day.